Hey, this is David Petrevsky. I am in international business management and I want to do my final presentation in PowerPoint on the Sherwin-Williams company. I think they're a big global company and I thought with me being an employee there that I could learn a little bit more about the company. So I thought this would be an interesting topic. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is David Petrevsky. So first off, Sherwin-Williams history. So Sherwin-Williams was founded by Henry Sherwin back in 1866. Henry Sherwin invested $2,000 to buy a partnership in Truman Dunham Company of Ohio. Who would have knew it turned out that $2,000 after everything was said and done ended up being the Sherwin-Williams company that we all know today, which is a global company worth over $22 billion. Just in revenue just in 2022, but we'll get into that in a little bit later in the slides. But let's keep going here. So products like painting supplies, oils, glass, and pigments were what the business started out selling. This is when Sherwin was partnered with the Dunham Company. In 1884, the partnership with Truman was over, and Sherwin ended up creating his own business known today as the Sherwin-Williams Company. In 1873, Sherwin purchased its first factory on the Cuyahoga River, Cleveland, Ohio. The Sherwin-Williams history continued. So this factory helped produce paste paints, oil colors, and putty, which were Sherwin's first manufactured products. Ready-mix paint was first introduced in 1875 and became the industry standard. Industry-changing technology for paint was introduced in 1877 when Sherwin developed the first patent reclosable paint. This really helped change the way paint was distributed. Before, paint would actually separate really quickly and harden. And with this reusable can that they patent, Sherwin-Williams was able to really take advantage of the market at the time that was very underdeveloped, and it was nice to have such a new product that was able to make paint last longer, which kind of started the whole process of getting into more lines that last longer and longer shelf life. And as you can see here, the reusable paint can increase shelf life of paint. In 1890, an exclusive department was created for marketing and advertising out of Massachusetts. Sherwin really wanted to expand as quickly as possible and really wanted to get their name out there. And the way they did that was by devoting a whole department just with marketing to get their name out there with the different products that they have. In 1905, Sherwin's trademark, Cover the Earth, was introduced. So Sherwin-Williams today, more than 64,000 employees, products sold in over 5,000 companies, operated stores and facilities, and has business in more than 120 countries around the world, and 22.1 billion revenue in 2022, making Sherwin the biggest paint company in the world, which is what I was mentioning earlier in the few slides. Now this I actually took from the Sherwin-Williams website, which is why I have the link up top. It's exactly what I had in that previous slide, and this is similar information, and they really pride themselves on how well they're doing and how big the company is. Since they are a public traded company, they really make all of this information well known, and it's right on their webpage. So acquisitions. So Sherwin-Williams acquires a lot of companies, and what they benefit from getting and acquiring all of these things is getting different products from other companies. So some companies might have a niche product that they have, and Sherwin, being the big company that they are, they buy them out, obtain that knowledge of that product, and is able to utilize the Sherwin blanket and sell more stuff in different markets and just be a more marketable company by being able to recommend and have different diverse products in their portfolio. So 1/3 of the sales growth does come from acquisitions. In 1995 marked a turning point for Sherwin-Williams as 16 acquisitions took place within a 2-year span. Big household names were acquired like Pratt & Lambert, 1995, Thompson's Minwax, and Duron. By 2002, total revenues were $5.186 billion, and this was again in 2002. Today it's a lot more, but that was just back then, right when they were starting to acquire a bunch of different companies so they can get a bigger footprint. Paint Sundry Brands, which is known for their Purdy paintbrushes, helped Sherwin diversify the products offered and expand its reach within U.S. within 2,643 stores. Again, now they're able to sell paintbrushes on top of all of the other coatings products that they have. And this is just another picture that I took from Sherwin-Williams website. And this is just some of the brands that they have acquired over time. And these are more of the big name ones. They have plenty of smaller ones, but these are the ones that are well known, that most people, if you were to ask across the street, they'll know. Things like Valspar, huge acquisition. HDTV Home, which is sold at a lot of the retail stores like Lowe's. Minwax, Cabot, Purdy, which we talked about with the paintbrushes, Thompson's Water Seal, Dutch Boy, Krylon, Ron Seal, Duplicolor, and H&C. Brand recognition. So Sherwin takes pride in the brands it acquires and stands behind its products. Having a diverse portfolio provides many different avenues for Sherwin to explore and exploit. Test marketing under Osborne label before Sherwin released a product. They can test the market by releasing a product under a brand name that is not as well known, and if the product performs well, can be tweaked and be rebranded as Sherwin product. So this is a great sales tactic in my opinion, and that is because they're able to really find what works and not have it taint the Sherwin-Williams name. So by them just testing it under these other smaller brands that they're acquiring and saying, hey, you know what, I really want to try this new paint product out. Let's launch it under an Osborne label or another less known label instead of Cabot or Valspar, see how well it does, and then we can release a similar product under one of those brands and it can really take off. So here's one of the overseas acquisitions, and that is Valspar. Valspar was a huge company. It was the 4th biggest paint company globally. Sherwin acquired Valspar in 2017 for $9.3 billion, and that was all cash. This acquisition made Sherwin the #1 largest paint retailer. And since 1998, Valspar has gained access to markets in China, Hong Kong, Brazil, Mexico, and South Africa, which could provide a potential in for Sherwin to expand these areas as well with its other products. So just being able to acquire these companies that have footprints already that are in these different countries gives Sherwin-Williams the opportunity to sell more of its products to different markets, which ultimately should boost its sales. Overseas acquisitions, and now we're going to talk about Sika. And this is more of a more recent acquisition, but this is a European industrial coating company which was acquired at the beginning of 2022. Sika has ties with markets in Germany and support from Poland, Austria, and Switzerland. Sika sells corrosion protection coatings for steel, infrastructure, and fire protection coatings for steel, wood, and concrete. Sales of Sika were $82 million at the end of 2020. The Performance Coatings Group is where Sika will be a part of with Sherwin-Williams. So that's where they'll fall in within the Sherwin parent, is under the Performance Group coating. All right, so with acquisitions comes onboarding, and this is a huge area. So how do you think you can take all of the different management styles, all of the different accounting systems with these acquisitions, and how can you just put them all together? It's going to be very hard to kind of find one report to cover everything. So what would you do about that? So we'll get into these slides here. With many different companies becoming part of the Sherwin-Williams parent, there needs to be a way to streamline reporting, which just like I mentioned. So accounting, sales, revenue, and stock are all a concern as acquired companies might be ran differently. Sherwin needs to streamline reporting to better assess how the company is doing as a whole. So there is a thing called single order system, and this was implemented in 2001. Legacy systems were replaced with a single order system. And again, this was to streamline what the customer is able to see. So it provided all customers a similar way of ordering, which simplifies Sherwin-Williams' ability to view orders and track sales. So think about that. There was a bunch of different companies. They were all ran differently, all have different accounting systems. Sherwin took all of those systems, lumped them into one, and the way they were able to tie it all together was by giving the customer a similar looking invoice for every single customer, and that didn't change. And by doing that, they're able to simplify the way all of the sales come in, and they're able to keep a little bit more records and just able to review it better. So the data warehouse project is a way that housed many different projects that streamline tracking. Analysis Mart helped track supply chain from the acquired raw materials through the sale. Right here on the right hand side is a diagram of how sales are tracked, and you can see here from the web interface it just goes up, and I'm not going to get into too much details. You can kind of read through that on your own time, but that is kind of how the data warehouse project was situated. It was trying to get everything streamlined. Yeah. So then the foreign direct investment FDI acquisitions. So this really ties into the book and what I'll get into deeper into the paper that I'll be submitting here shortly. But Sherwin utilized expansion in the form of acquisition. Acquisitions diversify the products in the Sherwin portfolio. Less cost associated with acquiring similar business and implementing the Sherwin way. Global recognition makes the Sherwin portfolio stronger and could boost the acquired company's revenue. The more locations available allow Sherwin to take advantage of a broader market and to boost sales by being in a convenient location. So I believe Sherwin-Williams does tie into international management because of how big they are and how they're in 120 different countries, and the ability to acquire so many different companies and put them under the Sherwin blanket. It really helps them diversify their portfolio and helps give them the ability to sell more of their products in different areas. As we saw just from a few of the acquisitions, how they're in Germany, they're in Hong Kong. These are just some of the acquisitions that took place to help Sherwin become such a big company that it is today. So that is all that I have for this PowerPoint. I hope this was informative to all of you, especially the instructor. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will be writing a paper on this soon, which will have all of this information plus more. Thanks.